Proving the doubters wrong is something that every football player wants to do. Every year, every team starts off with question marks somewhere on the team. However, there were two big question marks that the Ravens had coming into the season. But these questions and doubts were answered, and they were answered emphatically. Though there were several other doubts that the Ravens proved wrong, but today we're going to talk about two Ravens who proved the doubters wrong in a way that set up the Ravens organization for success for many years to come as we chase the Lombardi Trophy. Before we start, subscribe and like the channel to support the Ravens fans like yourself. We can't do it without you. We have to start with Lamar Jackson. Now, I loved Ravens fans, but there were several fans who said that he was not worth the money. You guys can check the comments from our old videos where I was pleading with Ravens fans and very upset with Steve Bisciotti that the deal was not done yet. Lamar Jackson proved a lot of things this season. First, of course, he proved that he is well worth the money by becoming an MVP for the second time.
I am here with Lamar Action Jackson, fresh off winning his second NFL MVP award. How are you feeling right now?
Oh man, overwhelmed.
There are players who make just as much as he does who have never won MVPs and have never been as close as he has to the Super Bowl. He also has one of the best records of all time when he plays in football games. However, that was the second thing that he proved this season. Lamar Jackson was able to stay healthy, and staying healthy, of course, is super important for this Ravens team because the best ability is availability. It doesn't matter how fast you are, it doesn't matter how strong you are or how good you can throw if you're not on the field with your teammates. And this season, Lamar Jackson was able to stay healthy the entire season. Every game that Lamar Jackson was able to play, he played. And for most of the games, he played at an extremely high level. And in my opinion, he never had a bad game the entire season. His worst games were average games. This ability to be consistent for your team and play every single game really shows how great the Ravens will be year in and year out if Lamar Jackson is there making plays. And this is important for the Ravens because this was the biggest reason that most teams claim that they were not trying to sign Lamar Jackson in the offseason. Now, I don't believe that. I believe it was contract related. But if I take all these GMs and coaches at face value, Lamar Jackson proved that he can stay healthy with a style of play that is still very run heavy, but doesn't rely so much on Lamar Jackson as a power runner like the Greg Roman system did. The last thing that Lamar did to prove the haters wrong was his ability to grow as a passer and has become one of the best passers in the league. Lamar has developed a great touch over the past couple of seasons, but most importantly, his decision-making is one of the best in the National Football League. He did not throw a high amount of interceptions this year, and during the regular season, he may have been the best quarterback at taking what the defense gave. If the pass is open, he made the pass. If the run was open, he ran the ball. He always tried to create for his receivers and get the ball downfield. We all know that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the National Football. However, in the regular season, Lamar Jackson had a better passer rating, a better completion percentage, and a better quarterback rating, also known as QBR. And when it comes to the overall rankings, Lamar Jackson was in the top 5 for both quarterback rating and for passer rating. These are stats that many fans never thought Lamar Jackson could achieve. However, with his ability to take what the defense gives him and the touch he can put on his different passes with his different arm angles, he's proven that he can win football games with his arm. Now, he may not have had to prove it to me, and he didn't have to prove it to some Ravens fans, but for all the doubters and all the haters, it's plain to see now. The next person to prove the doubters wrong this year was Eric DeCosta. There wasn't a lot of hubbub online about Eric DeCosta's overall ability to be a general manager in the league from Ravens fans. We already knew he had an eye for talent. However, we all have to remember that he came after arguably the best general manager ever in Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Newsome was able to draft Hall of Famers left and right. He started off with Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis. He drafted Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, and of course, Lamar Jackson. Not to mention the bevy of other players who are talented, but not Hall of Fame level players. Eric DeCosta, though, has drafted talented players, but before this year, you could not say he drafted any superstar players. And so I want to go through really quickly the drafts of Eric DeCosta so far. And in 2019, his number 1 pick was Hollywood Brown. Brown is arguably the best player of that draft class. Other players from the draft class like Ben Powers and Justice Hill are good NFL players, but no one would call them superstars before this year. When we go into 2020, the number 1 pick was Patrick Queen. And again, I'm going to talk about Queen later because he had his best year this year, but before this year, many people thought he was a bust. 2021, the number 1 pick was Rashad Bateman. Again, no one on this list of 2021 were superstars coming into this year. There were even more busts on the list than there were superstars. And of course, in 2020, you had great players like Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum, but coming into the year, no one knew if they were going to be superstar level players. However, this year it's been clear that Eric DeCosta is one of the best general managers in football and has drafted either people who I think are superstars or definite potential superstars. When we talk about superstars, Kyle Hamilton, obvious superstar. Tyler Linderbaum, obvious superstar. Patrick Queen showed he's a star. Of course, some good players. Hollywood Brown is a good player in the league. Justice Hill, good player in the league. Ben Powers, good player in the league. Devin Duvernay, one of the best returners in the league. Rashad Bateman showed he can be a good number 2 receiver in this league. Odafe Oweh took steps forward. And we know the potential of players like Daniel Falele, David Ojabo, Jordan Stout, and Isaiah Likely. This is probably the most important year in the entire career of Eric DeCosta because he stepped up and showed that he was drafting good players. But if you give these players some time, then things that he saw in the college process will eventually show up in the NFL. This doesn't even mention the fact that he did broker the trade for Roquan Smith that made a lot of players that he's chosen, like Patrick Queen, even better. I also believe players in free agency like OBJ, which he overpaid for, was instrumental in the development of some of these young receivers like Zay Flowers. And so I think that Lamar Jackson and Eric DeCosta are the 2 Ravens that did the most proving people wrong last season.
Why?
I think they should be applauded for that, and I'm pointing it out right now, but this is only my opinion. And my opinion is important to me, but what's also important to me is your opinion as Raven Space family. So please put in the comments below if you agree, and who do you think silenced their doubters this season? Though the season didn't end the way we wanted it to, I think we have some building blocks because of the growth and the ability to prove the doubters wrong in Lamar Jackson and Eric DeCosta. Subscribe to the channel and like the video and comment. It helps us grow. Thank you, and go Ravens.